Have you ever wondered why some people seem to thrive in wrongdoing, yet somehow never truly find peace? What if I told you that justice doesn't always come from courts, legal punishments, or even revenge, but flows naturally from life itself? That the wicked, in their attempts to harm others, already carry within them the seeds of their own downfall. This isn't wishful thinking or a comforting story. This is the essence of Stoic justice. The Stoics believe that the universe operates under an unbreakable order, a law far deeper than human judgment, far beyond our personal sense of fairness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The wrongdoer wrongs himself," and Seneca warned that every guilty conscience is its own hangman. To the Stoics, justice is not delayed. It is built into the very fabric of existence. The liar, the manipulator, the betrayer, they don't escape justice. They carry it, they embody it, whether they know it or not. Think about it. The liar becomes trapped in an endless maze of lies, constantly fearing exposure. The manipulator struggles within the very web they've spun. The betrayer is haunted by the echoes of trust they shattered. No court is needed. No revenge is required. They destroy themselves slowly, silently, inevitably, and this is the core of Stoic justice. You don't need to waste your life chasing retribution. You don't need to poison your soul with anger or vengeance. All you need is discipline, patience, and trust that truth has a way of revealing itself. In this video, you'll discover why the wicked always collapse under their own weight. We'll explore how Stoic wisdom uncovers the hidden justice of the universe, and how you can live in peace knowing that nothing done against you escapes the natural order. Stay with me until the end. Because once you understand Stoic justice, you will never see betrayal, cruelty, or injustice in the same way again. The Stoics believe that the greatest punishment for wrongdoing is not imposed by courts or enemies. It is carried inside the wrongdoer's own mind. Every act of cruelty, deceit, or betrayal plants a seed of decay within the soul. Over time, that seed grows into fear, guilt, paranoia, and inner collapse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The wrongdoer wrongs himself. He who commits injustice is already burdened by it." At first glance, the wicked may appear untouchable. They lie, cheat, manipulate, and on the surface they often prosper. But beneath the mask they are already imprisoned by guilt. Even if they never admit it, a part of them knows they are wrong. That gnawing unease never fully leaves. It manifests as paranoia, constant vigilance, and a subtle fear that their lies will eventually catch up. The world may applaud them, or at least not punish them immediately, but inside the collapse has already begun. Modern psychology confirms this Stoic insight. Research shows that chronic liars, manipulators, or those who betray others experience high levels of stress, anxiety, and fractured relationships. They may hide behind bravado, but their nervous system pays the price. Sleepless nights, health problems, and relentless mental tension. The conscience, no matter how deeply buried, continues whispering. Even those who seem remorseless often numb themselves with distractions, addictions, obsessions, or constant noise, because in silence, they would confront the very truth they fear most. We see how Stoic justice unfolds in real life, quietly yet relentlessly, shaping the lives of those who choose deceit, betrayal, or manipulation. Take the liar, for example. At first, their falsehoods might impress others or allow them to manipulate situations to their advantage. But soon, the web of lies becomes a trap of their own making. They forget which lie was told to whom. Every conversation becomes a minefield, each word a potential risk. Their own fabrications tighten around them, leaving them in a constant state of fear. Fear of exposure, fear of being discovered. The very thing they crafted to control reality begins to control them. Consider the betrayer. They walk away with a smug smile, thinking they've won. Yet, every new relationship is tainted by their own distrust. Deep down, they know how fragile trust really is, and this knowledge poisons every connection they attempt. The bonds they try to form are riddled with suspicion because they can no longer give the trust they so easily destroyed. Then there is the manipulator. Confident in their control, sure of their ability to bend others to their will. But the moment people stop playing along, the manipulator's power evaporates. Suddenly, they are exposed, powerless, empty, and forgotten. Their dominance exists only as long as others participate in the game they orchestrate. In all these cases, the punishment is not handed down by courts, friends, or enemies. It is carried within, seeded the moment the wrongdoing begins. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom, a self-inflicted wound. Seneca wrote, "Every guilty conscience is its own hangman." The wrongdoer does not need an external judge. Their conscience becomes both executioner and prison. The Stoics were clear-eyed. They knew that not every criminal or wrongdoer faces external justice, but they also knew that no one escapes internal justice. The one who cheats cannot trust. The one who steals cannot truly enjoy what they take. The one who betrays cannot fully love. In the relentless chase for advantage, they lose what makes life genuinely meaningful. This is the silent justice of the Stoics. You don't need to scream for revenge or obsess over their punishment. Time and truth will inevitably catch up. Meanwhile, you live free while they are imprisoned, locked in chains of their own making. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." The moment someone wrongs you, their punishment has already begun, and your victory begins the moment you refuse to follow their path. The wicked may seem strong, but their strength is only a mask. Beneath it lies guilt, fear, and emptiness. This is Stoic justice. Wrongdoers carry their punishment inside them. By choosing integrity and silence, you escape the prison they have built for themselves. Justice is not always visible in the outside world, but it is always alive within the soul of the wrongdoer. One of the heaviest burdens a person can carry is a guilty conscience. Even when no one else knows, the wrongdoer knows. That knowledge buried deep becomes a constant weight on their mind and spirit. A guilty conscience does not always look like guilt. It can wear masks, arrogance, bravado, laughter, yet underneath a quiet unease never disappears. Restless nights follow them. By day they may smile and appear confident, but their sleep is haunted. Their mind replays the harm they caused. Even if they try to suppress it, overcompensation emerges, flaunting success, projecting confidence, or creating distractions, all attempts to drown out the whisper of guilt and isolation. Those who wrong others often find themselves unable to form deep, authentic connections because guilt builds walls between them and genuine love. Seneca observed this truth. A guilty conscience never rests easy. Even without accusation from others, they live with the persistent fear that the truth will one day surface. Modern psychology confirms this Stoic insight. Studies show that unresolved guilt and shame manifest as anxiety, depression, stress-related illnesses, and even physical pain. The body bears the burden of a troubled mind. The guilty may deny their feelings outwardly, but their nervous system never lies. Elevated heart rates, insomnia, and chronic stress become silent companions. What appears as control on the outside is often inner chaos. Real-life examples are everywhere. The unfaithful partner, the habitual liar, the manipulator in a friend group. Their punishment is already working, quietly, invisibly, and relentlessly. We see how guilt silently follows the wrongdoer, shaping every moment of their life long before any external consequences arrive. They may try to pretend that everything is normal, that life carries on as if nothing happened. But guilt gnaws at them relentlessly. Every innocent question from others feels like an interrogation. Every casual glance carries the weight of suspicion. Their own conscience poisons relationships long before the truth ever emerges. Consider the corrupt leader. On the surface, they act untouchable, surrounded by power, wealth, and flattery. Yet beneath that facade, guilt presses down heavily. Why else do they constantly seek distraction, praise, or material excess? They are not at peace. They are not running from laws or enemies. They are running from themselves, from their own conscience. Think of the betraying friend. Even after you have moved on, even when your life flourishes, they feel the tension of guilt. Every success you achieve becomes a mirror, reflecting back the loyalty they once discarded. They cannot escape the weight of their own choices. The Stoics were clear. You cannot escape yourself. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When guilt rules the mind, freedom is impossible. Marcus Aurelius added, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." A guilty conscience shrinks a man's worth because his ambition is corrupted by shame. He cannot rise fully because he drags the weight of his own misdeeds wherever he goes. This is the silent justice of guilt. You never need to chase revenge. Guilt is already at work. It corrodes the peace of mind, eats away confidence, and erodes joy. While you rebuild your life with calm and freedom, they remain chained to the memories of their own actions. And here lies the paradox. The more they try to run from guilt, the heavier it becomes. Conscience cannot be silenced. It demands justice from within. The burden of a guilty conscience outweighs any punishment the world can impose. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Justice begins within. The wicked may hide their guilt from others, but they cannot hide it from themselves. In that hidden weight, Stoic justice quietly does its work. Stoics also recognize the enduring strength of truth. While lies may seem powerful in the short term, giving temporary advantage, manipulating perception, or shielding the wicked from consequences, lies are inherently fragile. They require constant maintenance, endless cover-ups, sharp memory, and relentless vigilance. Inevitably, the false world collapses, and when it does, the liar is buried beneath the rubble of their own deception. Lies may appear strong because they can manipulate opinions, protect reputations, or shift blame. But lies are parasites. They cannot survive without continuous feeding. Every lie demands another to cover it. Every story must be rehearsed, remembered, defended. Every interaction carries risk, because truth may slip out at any moment. The liar becomes a slave to their own invention. And in slavery, there is no freedom, no peace. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If it is not true, do not say it." Truth aligns with nature. Lies oppose it. To live in lies is to live against the natural order, and anything against nature inevitably collapses. Seneca also warned, "Truth lies open to everyone. It is the shadowy things that are concealed. Lies can only survive in darkness. Once exposed to the light, they vanish." This is Stoic. Lies carry their own death sentence. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics observed. Lying is mentally exhausting. The brain must work harder to sustain falsehoods, suppressing truth while fabricating alternatives. Chronic liars often exhibit high stress, memory gaps, and paranoia. They may believe they are clever, but their nervous system is always on high alert. And here is the paradox. In trying to escape the truth, they are already imprisoned by it, a prisoner of their own mind, trapped by every deceit they have created. We see how lies and betrayal inevitably lead to collapse, even when the wrongdoer believes they are in control. The more lies someone tells, the more entangled they become. One small inconsistency, one forgotten detail, one accidental slip, and the entire web of deception begins to unravel. Think of the cheating partner. They lie to cover their betrayal, trying to maintain a facade of innocence. Yet over time, contradictions appear, unexplained absences, mismatched stories, odd behaviors that no explanation can fully justify. Eventually, the truth emerges and the relationship crumbles under its weight. The corrupt leader operates similarly. Lies may shield them for a time, offering temporary protection. But corruption always leaves traces. Documents, witnesses, or even greed can reveal the truth. Their empire, no matter how grand, eventually collapses under the weight of falsehood. Consider the manipulative friend, spreading rumors to pit people against one another. Lies may seem to work at first, but they are unstable currency. Eventually, the deceived compare notes and the manipulator is exposed. There is no need to rush to expose them yourself. Time and truth take care of it. Lies cannot endure. They crumble on their own. The collapse of a liar is not always spectacular, yet it is inevitable. One contradiction, one erosion of trust, one episode of isolation, and the punishment is complete. The Stoic path is simple. Do not waste your breath chasing their lies. Do not drown yourself in explanations or attempts to control perception. Live in truth and allow the lie to devour itself. Lies may rise quickly, but they always fall. Truth endures without effort, while falsehood collapses under its own weight. This is the essence of Stoic justice. The wicked destroy themselves because deception is inherently unsustainable. Your role is not to fight the lie directly. Your role is to live aligned with truth so completely that you never need to fear collapse. Of all wrongs, betrayal cuts the deepest. It is not the act of a distant enemy, but of someone who once stood close, a friend, a partner, a confidant. Yet the Stoics remind us that betrayal never goes unanswered. The betrayer always pays a price because, in harming others, they undermine the very foundations required for their own life: trust, loyalty, and respect. Betrayal is more than broken promises. It is the violation of trust, the shattering of bonds that once held weight and meaning. Infidelity, treachery in friendship, or disloyalty in alliances all poison the atmosphere around them. At first, the betrayer may feel triumphant. They gain an advantage, enjoy temporary pleasure, or evade accountability. But this victory is fleeting. Why? Because trust once broken is rarely restored. And without trust, no relationship, romantic, professional, or social, can endure. Marcus Aurelius observed, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." A betrayer's ambition is selfish gain, and in pursuing it, they diminish their own value. Seneca also warned, "He who does wrong shall suffer wrong." Betrayal plants a seed of destruction that inevitably returns to its source. The consequence may not appear immediately. It may remain hidden for a time, but it is unavoidable. Every act of betrayal wounds the betrayer first. They lose credibility. Once exposed, their words carry no weight. They lose security. Even if others forgive them, suspicion lingers. They lose themselves. By betraying trust, they compromise their integrity, and integrity, once lost, is almost impossible to recover. The betrayer creates a world in which no one fully believes them and where they cannot fully trust others. By violating trust externally, they poison trust internally. Modern psychology supports this Stoic insight. Betrayal, dishonesty, and deception erode the mind, creating stress, anxiety, and fractured relationships. The damage may not be immediately visible, but it quietly undermines everything the betrayer relies upon: their relationships, their sense of self, and their inner peace. We see that betrayal does not only destroy external relationships, it also devastates the betrayer's soul, creating an inescapable spiral of self-destruction. Psychologists point out that betrayal often leaves lasting guilt and shame. Many betrayers try to suppress these emotions, but they inevitably surface as anxiety, paranoia, or self-destructive behavior. Some double down on their betrayal, sinking even deeper into deception. Every step they take, instead of freeing them, corrodes their sense of self, and betrayal breeds isolation. Those who betray once are often betrayed in return. They cannot demand loyalty because they themselves broke it. Consider real-life examples. The unfaithful partner may think they have gained freedom or pleasure, but they also lose the respect of the one they betrayed and often their own ability to love honestly. In friendships, someone who leaks secrets for personal gain may benefit for a while, but word spreads quickly. Soon, no one confides in them and their circle shrinks into loneliness. In business, a colleague betrays a partner for advantage. They may rise rapidly, but reputations travel fast. Their betrayal follows them, and opportunities close. This is the silent justice of Stoic wisdom. The beauty of Stoic justice is that you don't need to seek revenge. Betrayal punishes itself. The betrayer creates their own downfall. The very advantage they gained becomes meaningless when trust is gone. Epictetus said simply, "No man is free who is not master of himself." A betrayer enslaved by selfishness cannot truly be free. Betrayal always returns to the betrayer. It robs them of trust, isolates them from others, and corrodes their integrity from within. This is Stoic justice. The one who destroys loyalty ultimately destroys themselves. And while they collapse, your task is simple. Live with integrity, walk in silence, and let justice unfold naturally. If betrayal poisons relationships, arrogance poisons the self. The Stoics saw that arrogance is not confidence, it is blindness, a refusal to see reality as it truly is. And within that blindness lies the seed of downfall. The arrogant believe they are untouchable, immune to consequences greater than truth itself. But history, philosophy, and daily life prove otherwise. Arrogance always carries the weight of collapse. Arrogance is not strength. It is weakness dressed in pride. Unlike true confidence, which is grounded in self-knowledge, the arrogant exaggerate their power. They dismiss wisdom from others, ignore warnings, and assume the rules don't apply to them. They mistake fear for respect. In this arrogance, they isolate themselves. They may rise for a time, but they rise alone, disconnected from truth, humility, and genuine connection. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Do not be Caesarized or die in purple." He feared that arrogance as emperor would blind him to virtue. Seneca echoed, "He who indulges in empty pride betrays his own weakness." For the Stoics, arrogance is not only unattractive, it is fatal. Why? Because arrogance refuses correction. Without correction, every small mistake becomes a great fall. The path to downfall is clear. Arrogance breeds failure in multiple ways. First, overconfidence. The arrogant underestimate challenges, assuming success is automatic. Second, isolation. They reject wise counsel, leaving themselves blind. Third, hubris. They provoke enemies and overstep limits, drawing consequences onto themselves. Fourth, fragility beneath the mask. Their ego is brittle, and when challenged, they collapse under pressure. We see that arrogance not only destroys relationships, but also sets a trap that ensnares its owner from within. Psychological studies show that arrogance often masks deep insecurity. Arrogant individuals rely heavily on external validation to feel worthy. But when their illusion cracks, they spiral into anxiety, anger, or despair. Their relationships are shallow, their trust fragile, and their confidence constantly dependent on reinforcement. In this sense, arrogance is unsustainable. It devours itself. Just like a fire that eventually consumes its own fuel, history is full of leaders who fell because arrogance blinded them. They ignored warnings, underestimated enemies, and believed themselves invincible. Their empires crumbled not because of external forces, but because of inner blindness. In business, an executive refuses feedback, convinced of their own brilliance. The market shifts, competitors adapt, but arrogance prevents them from changing. Their downfall is swift and public. In personal life, a friend treats others as inferior, always boasting, never listening. Initially, people tolerate it, but over time, they drift away, leaving the arrogant person alone, admired by none, resented by many. This is the silent justice of arrogance. The Stoics would say you do not need to confront the arrogant directly. Their downfall is already built into the path they have chosen. By refusing humility, they refuse growth. By rejecting wisdom, they embrace error. By denying respect, they invite isolation. Arrogance punishes itself, and once again, silence is your weapon. You don't need to argue with arrogance. You only need to let it run its course. Arrogance that rejects humility is the arrogance that breeds downfall. This is Stoic justice. Those who crown themselves too highly eventually fall hardest. The wise response is not to gloat or argue, but to live humbly, walk steadily, and watch arrogance collapse under its own weight. The Stoics believed that vice is self-destructive, and none illustrates this more clearly than greed. Greed may look like ambition, but it is nothing more than insatiable hunger. Unlike healthy ambition, which builds discipline and purpose, greed consumes the very person who holds it. It devours peace, corrodes integrity, and ultimately leaves the greedy poorer than those they sought to exploit. The nature of greed is that it is never satisfied. It whispers, just one more. One more coin, one more deal, one more possession. But once that goal is reached, the hunger grows again. The greedy never feel full. They never feel safe. They never feel at peace. Seneca observed, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." To the Stoics, greed is not wealth. It is poverty in disguise. The prison of endless desire chains the greedy. While they may appear powerful, they are enslaved to their cravings. First, they lose contentment. Nothing is ever enough. Second, they lose relationships. Greed turns people into tools, and tools are never truly loved. Third, they lose themselves. Their identity becomes tied to possessions, which are fragile and fleeting. The greedy person is never truly rich. They are perpetually desperate. Modern psychology confirms this. Studies show that those consumed by greed experience higher stress, lower satisfaction, and weaker relationships. They may accumulate wealth, but their well-being declines. In chasing more, they rob themselves of joy in what they already have. Greed is like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. Examples in life. In business, a leader sacrifices ethics for profit. We see that greed and arrogance inevitably carry the seeds of their own downfall. What appears as victory at first is often the beginning of silent self-destruction. At first, the greedy may seem to win. They accumulate wealth, power, or possessions, thinking they are untouchable. But scandals emerge, reputations crumble, and their insatiable desire leaves them hollow and undone. In family disputes, inheritance often exposes this truth. The sibling who grabs the largest share may feel triumphant, yet over time, isolation sets in. Love and connection slip away, replaced by an emptiness that no possession can fill. The gain they celebrated becomes a constant reminder of what they have lost in humanity and relationships. In personal life, a person obsessed with material wealth may fill their home with countless objects, decorating it to perfection. On the surface, it seems abundant, full, even enviable. Yet inside, their heart remains empty, restless, and unsatisfied. Their life looks complete to outsiders, but the hollowness within cannot be masked. Greed, after all, devours not just resources, but peace, energy, and the very joy that life offers in simple moments. The Stoic lens provides clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, very little is needed to make a happy life. The greedy person forgets this truth, chasing endlessly for more while missing the joy in simplicity. Each grasping hand is a step further from contentment. Time, energy, and mental calm are sacrificed for illusions that never satisfy. Ultimately, the greedy are punished not by enemies or the world, but by their own ceaseless cravings. This is the silent justice, the essence of Stoic wisdom. Greed carries its own sentence. A person may appear rich, even powerful, but internally they are impoverished, restless, and enslaved by desire. No external enemy is required to bring about their downfall. Their own hunger becomes the executioner. For the Stoics, the remedy is simple. Walk away from greed. Live with enough. Find contentment in simplicity. Let the endless craving consume those who refuse to learn while you build peace within yourself. Greed consumes everything it touches. It robs peace, corrodes integrity, and isolates the soul. This is why the Stoics prize contentment above all wealth. To chase endlessly is to collapse inward, while to live simply is to live free. Cruelty, however, is the most visible of all vices. Unlike lies or greed, which can hide for a time, cruelty leaves visible marks, not only on its victims, but also on the perpetrator. To harm another is ultimately to harm oneself, and the Stoics recognize this timeless truth. Cruelty always turns inward. The nature of cruelty goes beyond causing pain. It finds satisfaction in it. It is the bully who delights in fear, the tyrant who thrives on oppression, the manipulator who enjoys breaking others' spirits. At first glance, cruelty may appear as dominance. The cruel stand tall, their victims silenced, power seemingly in hand. But this power is hollow. Beneath it lies decay. Why? Because cruelty corrodes the very soul that inflicts it. Marcus Aurelius captured this insight. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Every cruel act stains the one who commits it. Over time, those stains become permanent, shaping character into something twisted and hollow. Seneca warned, "He who harms others does harm to himself." The damage is not only external but internal, gnawing away at compassion, empathy, and the capacity to feel joy. The self-inflicted wound of cruelty manifests in multiple ways. First, the loss of humanity. Empathy is denied, and the deepest connections of life are severed. Second, isolation. The cruel may surround themselves with followers, yet true friends remain absent. Third, paranoia. They know the harm they have caused, constantly fearing retaliation. Fourth, emptiness. The more pain they inflict, the more numb they become, until even victories taste like ashes. In essence, the cruel become their own executioners, trapped in the void they create. Psychological evidence confirms these observations. Research shows that cruelty often arises from insecurity and unresolved pain. While it may bring short-term control or dominance, long-term consequences are devastating. Cruel individuals frequently suffer from chronic anger, stress, and loneliness. Their mental stability erodes as each act meant to harm others chips away at their own foundation. Real-life examples abound. The school or workplace bully may enjoy temporary dominance, but eventually their reputation isolates them. Fear cannot create genuine respect. History is filled with tyrants whose cruel reigns ended in revolt, assassination, or despair. Cruelty may temporarily build empires, but it never sustains them. In personal relationships, a partner who controls through cruelty may believe they hold power, yet their life is a prison of tension, paranoia, and moral decay. Silent justice is at work. Cruelty punishes itself, slowly but inevitably, and the Stoic path remains clear. Live with integrity, act with virtue, and do not be consumed by the vices that destroy from within. While others fall to their own cruelty, your freedom lies in restraint, self-mastery, and the peaceful path of truth. We can see that cruelty and false power ultimately self-destruct. Tyrannical rulers, even when building mighty empires, cannot sustain them for long. Their reigns do not end in peace, but in revolt, assassination, or despair. In personal life, a partner who controls through cruelty may believe they hold power. Yet cruelty kills love, leaving only obedience and fear. In the end, they destroy the very bond they wish to possess. A clear example of silent justice. The strength of Stoic justice lies in its inevitability. Cruelty carries within it the seed of its own downfall. You do not need to seek revenge. The punishment is already unfolding through their paranoia, isolation, and emptiness. Epictetus said simply, "When you are offended by the faults of another, turn to yourself and examine your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." For the Stoics, this means we do not waste energy on cruelty. We live differently. We walk away. And life itself delivers justice. Cruelty always turns inward, rotting the soul, isolating the heart, and enslaving the mind. This is why Stoic justice is so profound. The cruel destroy themselves. Your role is not to fight them, but to rise above, to live virtuously, to walk away in silence, and to allow their cruelty to collapse upon itself. Power is intoxicating. Those who taste it often think they can bend truth, silence others, and control outcomes forever. But the Stoics warn that false power, power built on fear, lies, or manipulation, is destined to collapse. Unlike true strength, which comes from virtue and discipline, false power is hollow and cannot endure because it rests on foundations that were never solid. The nature of false power. False power is not real authority. It is domination through fear, wealth, or deception. The tyrant believes fear makes him strong. The manipulator believes lies make her untouchable. The corrupt leader believes wealth shields him from consequences. Yet fear becomes rebellion, lies become exposure, and wealth becomes scandal. What they thought was power is merely a mask, and masks always slip. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the mightiest empire of his time, wrote, "The abuse of power is a weakness disguised as strength." He understood that true power rests in self-control, not in the ability to control others. Seneca added, "Power gained by guilt cannot endure." This is Stoic justice. Power seized without virtue inevitably collapses under its own corruption. The fragility of false power includes dependence. It relies on fear, lies, or external wealth, things that cannot last. Isolation. Those who rule by intimidation stand alone. Fear creates compliance, not loyalty. Exposure. The longer false power lasts, the more brittle it becomes. One revelation, one failure, and it shatters. True authority is stable because it is rooted in respect. False authority is unstable because it is rooted in illusion. Psychological evidence supports this. People who cling to dominance through fear or manipulation often live in paranoia. They are obsessed with maintaining control, terrified of being exposed, and constantly battling insecurity. Their power consumes them, leaving them anxious, suspicious, and ultimately self-destructive. This is why dictators, manipulators, and corrupt leaders often fall dramatically, not just because of external enemies, but because their own paranoia and corruption hollowed them from within. Examples in real life include business leaders who impose authority over employees, managers who manipulate colleagues for rapid advancement, or corrupt politicians who believe themselves untouchable. At first, their power seems absolute, but eventually they become isolated, distrusted, and their plans collapse from within, demonstrating that Stoic justice always operates silently but inevitably. In politics, history is filled with dictators who seemed invincible. They appeared untouchable, yet their reigns collapsed overnight. Fear sustained their power temporarily, but truth and resistance always outlasted them. In business, a CEO hides corruption behind polished numbers. For years, the illusion holds, but eventually the truth comes to light. Scandals erupt, companies crumble, and reputations vanish. In personal life, a partner may control through threats or guilt. At first, they seem in charge, but gradually their false power destroys the very relationship they rely on. In the end, they are left powerless and alone. This is the silent justice of collapse. The beauty of Stoic justice lies in its quiet inevitability. You do not need to confront false power directly. It weakens itself. The tyrant overreaches, the manipulator is exposed, the corrupt leader digs his own grave. Marcus Aurelius said, "Time is a river of passing events, and its current is strong. Time sweeps away illusion. What is false cannot endure its flow. False power may rise quickly, but it always collapses." This is Stoic justice. Power without virtue carries within it the blueprint of its own destruction. The task of the wise is not to fear false power, nor to obsess over bringing it down, but to trust that its collapse is certain and to remain rooted in strength that never falls. Self-mastery. The Stoics taught patience because they understood one of the universe's greatest laws. Time always reveals the truth. Lies may shine for a season. Betrayal may appear victorious. Arrogance may parade with pride, yet none of these endure forever. Time is the great judge. It unmasks illusions, exposes corruption, and strips away the masks of the wicked. The nature of time is impartial. It does not hurry and it does not forget. Falsehood cannot survive its passage because lies require constant effort to maintain, whereas truth endures effortlessly, simply waiting. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is like a river made up of events, and its current is strong. The current of time sweeps away what is weak, revealing what is strong." The wicked may outrun justice for a moment, but they cannot outrun time. Why does truth always surface? The Stoics identified 3 reasons. Energy demands. Sooner or later, the liar grows tired. One slip, one contradiction, and the mask falls. Behavior forms patterns. Betrayers and manipulators cannot hide forever because their actions repeat over time. And others notice the pattern. Conscience corrodes the self. Even if the world is deceived, the wrongdoer carries guilt that time only magnifies. Time does not merely reveal truth to others, it continually exposes it to the wrongdoer until it becomes unbearable. Psychological evidence confirms this. Stoic insight. Long-term deception and wrongdoing increase stress and erode mental health. Even if external consequences are delayed, internal cracks appear. Over the years, the mind cannot bear the weight of contradiction. The wicked often implode, not because they are caught, but because they cannot bear the truth they denied. Real-life example: a dishonest leader. For years, corruption may be hidden behind charisma or propaganda, but eventually, the truth emerges through documents, witnesses, or failures too large to conceal. The unfaithful partner may sustain an affair for months, even years, lying skillfully to maintain control. Yet over time, inconsistencies surface. Small slips, forgotten details, or unexplained absences accumulate until the truth emerges, shattering every illusion they thought they commanded. Similarly, the false friend may initially succeed through manipulation, but patterns appear. People compare experiences, and eventually the betrayer is unmasked. Nothing hidden can remain so indefinitely. Stoic patience teaches us this clearly. Epictetus advised, "Seek not that events should happen as you will, but let your will be that events happen as they do, and you shall have peace." Justice may not be immediate, but it is inevitable. The Stoic trusts time because truth requires no defense. It will endure on its own. This understanding frees you. You do not need to exhaust your energy proving lies false or chasing acts of betrayal. Time quietly does the work for you. This is the silent justice of time. Time acts as the executioner of falsehood. It corrodes masks, weakens lies, and magnifies guilt. What hides in darkness eventually comes to light, not because you force it, but because natural law demands it. And while the wicked crumble under the pressure of time, you rise by aligning with truth, virtue, and patience. No matter how clever their lies or how convincing their illusions, the false cannot endure. This is Stoic justice in action. The patient hand of time unmasks every deception and delivers the consequences without your interference. Your role is not to hasten justice, but to trust it, living with integrity while time fulfills its work. When examining betrayal, lies, arrogance, greed, cruelty, and false power, 1. Principle becomes clear. The wicked always destroy themselves. Their downfall does not require your revenge. It arises naturally from the order of life itself. This is the ultimate lesson of Stoic justice. Freedom comes when you stop obsessing over punishment and focus instead on virtue. For the Stoics, justice was never about courts or human-administered punishments. It was about alignment with nature, truth, and reason. Injustice is inherently self-destructive because it disrupts harmony. A person who lies breaks harmony with reality. A betrayer breaks harmony with trust. One who indulges in greed or cruelty breaks harmony with humanity itself. Justice, therefore, is not something you must enforce. It unfolds naturally because life cannot sustain what goes against its order. Why do the wicked always fall? The Stoics identified 3 key reasons. Corruption of the self. Wrongdoing poisons the soul, filling it with guilt, fear, and emptiness. Corrosion of relationships. Lies and betrayal erode trust until the wrongdoer stands isolated. Exposure through time. Nothing false endures. Their actions inevitably reveal them. This is not abstract philosophy. It is life itself. We see it repeatedly in history, society, and even in the small, everyday dynamics of personal relationships. The gift of letting go is the final lesson of Stoic justice. It is not about obsessing over how others will pay, but about freeing yourself from that fixation. Marcus Aurelius wisely advised, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In practicing virtue and patience, you rise above the destructive cycle, allowing life and time to deliver the natural consequences to those who act unjustly. When you release the desire for revenge, you step out of the cycle of bitterness. You trust that the universe will handle what you cannot. Seneca wrote, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. And what makes the mind unconquerable is this: refusing to be consumed by hatred even when wronged." Examples in everyday life are clear. In relationships, you don't need to watch your betrayers suffer. The trust they destroyed ensures their own loneliness. In business, you don't need to chase corrupt leaders. Their empire collapses because it was built on sand. In personal life, you don't need to demand karma. Their conscience and time already deliver it. Each time you let go, you reclaim your peace. Each time you rise above revenge, you achieve a victory greater than vengeance itself. Living the Stoic way, the final lesson is to live with integrity regardless of what others do. Because if the wicked destroy themselves, your task is simply to ensure you do not follow their path. Guard your mind, speak the truth, walk humbly, live simply, and trust the justice woven into the fabric of life. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you choose to be virtuous, you are already aligned with Stoic justice, and no wrong done against you can rob you of that victory. The wicked always destroy themselves. That is Stoic justice. The final lesson is not to chase their downfall, but to rise above it. Let them dig their own graves while you build your own peace. Let them crumble under guilt while you grow in virtue. And let your silence be proof that you trust life. Truth and justice matter more than revenge. According to the Stoics, justice is not a sword you must carry or a battle you must fight. It is a law woven into the very structure of existence. The liar collapses under lies. The betrayer is haunted by broken trust. The arrogant fall from their own heights. The greedy consume themselves. the cruel rot from within. And false power, no matter how mighty it seems, always crumbles over time. This is Stoic justice, inevitable, silent, unstoppable. You do not need to pursue revenge. You do not need to poison your soul with hatred. All you need to do is stand firm in virtue, protect your peace, and let life handle the rest. Remember this: the wicked always destroy themselves, but the virtuous always rise, because no one can take away your discipline, your integrity, or your inner peace. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to Life Through Stoicism. Join a community of seekers building emotional intelligence, psychological resilience, and unshakable self-worth through the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Don't stop here. The next video is waiting. Every time you choose silence over anger, patience over revenge, and virtue over vice, you become unstoppable.